Hello, everybody. Welcome to Extreme SEO Punching the Penguin panel. I'm Bas van den Belt. I run and I'm the founder of Status Search. And we have a group of people here, I think, whose favorite animal is penguin. So at least one of them must have like a tiny one at home for his young recruit?
No penguin at home.
No penguin at home, okay. So I'm going to introduce you to the panel. What we're going to do is we're going to talk about, well, penguin, of course, about what's going on in search at the moment. We're going to open up to the floor as well. So if you have questions, just raise your hand. We have a person with a microphone in the back who will come up to you, and please wait until she comes up to you with the mic before you ask the question so that we can actually hear the question. Saves a lot of time, and we'll get you a better answer as well. I'm going to start with the introduction of the people. So next to me is Marcus Tandler, most known as Media Adonis, and just become a father, right?
Totally. 7 weeks.
7 weeks, father. So that's how you turn a black hat white. Just
it's that easy.
Make sure they get kids, right?
Yeah.
Next to it, Joost, Dutch, of course, well-known, most known of his WordPress SEO plugin. Next to him, I think the guy who probably makes the most money out of Penguin, Christoph Kemper.
And if he didn't, he spammed us a lot for it.
Who runs Link Research Tools, one of the most complete tools in the business. And next to him is Martin McDonald, who is most known for his blog posts about Interflora and that kind of stuff. And he also tests hotels for Expedia, at least that's what I always think he does, because he travels around the world. And you want SEO manager? What's your title?
I was SEO director. I'm now inbound marketing director.
Oh, dear. Let's not get into that. Okay, so I'm going to kick things off. Again, if you have questions, just raise your hand and we'll get the mic to you. I'm going to ask a question, each one of you, first, about Penguin. Blessing or not for search?
I definitely think it's a good thing that's happening right now. You know, SEO, when we started doing this, it started out as being like the Wild West, right? It's a city in the Wild West, and it was also only run by a sheriff. And these days, it's so big. It's a big industry. It's not like this little. No, not like this little village anymore, this little Wild West village. It has become a real city with a real police and even a SWAT team of black, white zoo animals, you know, who will take you down if you're pushing it too far. And I think it's just another step in evolution of this how this whole SEO industry is basically evolving. And I think it's a good thing because it had to end, you know. It was just everything was just over spammed and was just about who has the biggest SEO budget. And Google doesn't want to rank the guys that have the biggest SEO budgets or the guys that do the best SEO, but the guys that are the best results for the users. And so they had to make this move, and it was the right time. And I'm really I like the results. It's good.
Yes.
I tend to go that way as well. The only thing is that it's incomplete. So it'd be good if the spam got replaced by non-spam, but right now the spam gets replaced by other spam that's not caught yet.
You just have to throw enough shit at Google. Something will stick.
Yeah, so it doesn't really work in many ways, but I think in the long run it's what needs to happen. I do think that in the end we'll get rid of the aggressive link building that we did for quite a while, and that worked quite well for most people. I doubt whether that'll take 2 or 10 years.
Mm. So it's going to take. So what you're saying as well that it's just a start. We've just seen.
Oh yeah, we've just seen the beginning. Yeah, if you look at most of the somewhat more spammy niches, there's so much more spam to eliminate.
Yeah. Christoph, you created a completely new business out of it.
Yeah, actually, well,
so
it wasn't
good for you.
It wasn't me alone, but with Google actually making it necessary to look at your links, something like the link research tool suddenly became a new need. Instead of link building new links, also finding the shitty ones. And actually, I was very surprised that the Penguin update and this whole devaluation of links to that scale took until 2012. I expected them to do something like that in 2.5, 2.6, 2.7, because it was way too easy, really stupidly easy, where all you needed was a credit card, order some shitty links here, some shitty links there, and if you had enough of that, some of that worked, and they never had a negative effect. Right?
In 2005, 2006, there wasn't really that much anti-Google press coming out, especially in New York Times articles and so on and so forth. That shit ramped up in 2010, 2011. Yeah. So it's totally reactional to... Google don't really give that much of a toss as to how good the results are in organic, as long as people carry on coming back and they're not losing page impressions, right? It's only when there's some risk to share valuation that, oops, all of a sudden our sales and marketing company with 25,000 salespeople had better start reinvesting back into technology, which they have done over the last 2 years. But there was a decent gap there of like 5 years where they weren't really spending that much on R&D, right?
Yeah. The thing is, Christoph mentions the one thing that goes wrong in this whole update is that they actually applied a negative value to links now. So they broke the web. So that's the whole thing about Penguin that kills me, is that negative SEO is becoming so bloody easy that we'll see far more of that. And they could make that disappear like within minutes by just removing negative value of links.
Do you think they anticipated that? Or did they run into that issue now?
I think they do it on purpose.
Why is that?
Because it makes people remove links faster.
So they want people to remove the links, so just...
They want to clean up the link graph, and doing this makes people do it as fast as possible.
And they want the PR. You know, the most important part about this, it's not about the freaking algo, you know, it's about the PR. It's about that people talk publicly, hey, you need to remove shitty links, you know, shitty links can hurt your site. And that is it. It's not about the algo, it's about that people, you know, educate other people about, you know, that they learn. This is not about shitty links, and you should be watching what your SEO agency is doing, and you shouldn't just buy links and all that stuff. And people will catch on, and this is better than any algorithm will do, you know, is having people wholeheartedly tell you, don't do this.
So it's fear marketing.
Absolutely,
yeah.
And it works so well, and it works amazingly well.
Incentivize SEO. They actually make SEO look like a very dangerous practice, which it actually is today. If you don't know what you're doing, and you just buy some shit links,
if you equate links, SEO to buying links, then it's dangerous. Yes.
Yeah. But that's what it was.
There's a lot of SEO.
Come on.
Some of us have been doing other stuff as well.
But that's covered with your plugin.
No.
Install your SEO plugin.
The thing is that I think it's in Google's best interest indeed to make us look bad.
What they should totally do is just have toolbar page rank -1 with a little red bar instead of a green bar, and that would shit everyone up that's buying and selling links. Seriously, that they should do. And then any time anyone gets more than like X amount of mentions in the disavow list, just instantly trigger it all to be -1 toolbar. Honestly, that would sort it out. Google. So listen to this. Do it. I've solved it.
You mentioned New York Times writing about stuff. I mentioned Interflora, which you covered on.
I think I beat you by about 6 minutes. So it's not...
yeah. That's the big and small blog, right? Smaller ones are always faster. So, New York Times, Interflora. Do you think Google takes Interflora as an example for the rest of us? So, looking at Interflora, that's dangerous.
Yes.
Somebody got a hit from the high
happen to you?
Well, yes, and they wouldn't have needed to if Interflora had responded in the same way that many other large companies have had the same kind of warnings from Google. And in circumstances that I've seen before where a large company has had this kind of warning, they tended to have acted on it in the past. Interflora chose not to for internal comms reasons, which was why they were made an example of. But yes, this wasn't an algorithmically driven thing that just happened one day. This was driven by personalities. Now, that's both a good and a bad thing in that if you're a medium-sized brand, you're unlikely to ever attract enough attention, unless you're being a real dick, to get yourself banned. But then the problem is you're going to find it very difficult getting back in. It was like when we had the dig thing, which Google came out like 6 hours later and said, oh shit, it was actually a mistake. Yeah. You know, we've removed them totally by accident. And then I had a conversation with someone that used to work at Google about an hour after that, saying, yeah, we used to do that shit all the time.
I beat you on that one in 6 months.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. But that's scary as hell, right? Because, what if it's your day to have some intern going over your spam report and he clicks that checkbox that has now destroyed your business and your life? Yeah. Unless you've got enough social media credibility to have Matt Cutts reply to your tweet, you ain't getting back in the index.
Yeah, this happens all the time.
That's scary.
Yeah. Which is good business for those of us who can actually email Google and fix it.
Well, this is true.
Mark, that was still very nice.
It's not a scalable solution, though, is it?
Mark, how does this affect your business?
Well, our business, not really. We don't do that much consulting anymore. So really, we didn't have. We get a lot of people asking with the penguin removal. But the thing is, I think penguin removal is not a great business, so I wouldn't even want to do it because it's mostly just, you have people that were spamming the SERPs over and over and now just being caught with a hand in the cookie jar, and now it's a big cry out. But it's a really lame task, it's about going through the backlinks, okay, that needs to be gone, writing to the webmasters, disavowing that shit. And then, it's actually pretty easy, it works, you can get the site back in the index if there's anything left after the stuff that you've removed, but I don't think it's not a fun work, so we stay away from it.
Yes.
We rather do our SEO tool. That's, by the way, onpage.org, great tool. Should be using it if you know.
That's the commercial.
Yeah.
Again, if you have questions, please raise your hand because, yes, we have a question over here and one in the back. So we go up front here. So he was first. Gonna make you run.
Hello, thanks for the introduction, but my real question, I hope that would be answered here, is how do we punch the penguin? It's nice to hear that you're not affected or it's a good thing for the business and so on, but nevertheless there are clients affected, there are sites taken down, and how do we punch it, either the fair or the dirty way?
Okay, so fighting the penguin, is there...
Yeah, let me do the commercial for Christoph so he doesn't have to. So what you do is you throw the domain into link research tools. You run a detox scan. That's the right word, right? A link detox scan. And you go through the backlinks by hand and you check, okay, so what is in here? And yes, that is manual labor, and yes, that's a shit load of work.
We already did that.
And if that doesn't help you,
when you say we already did that, what did you do after you didn't analyze them? What have you done with this data?
We had some pages re-ranked and we cleaned up the stuff and the rankings returned. We had some really good recoveries after penguin stuff, but I hope that we would learn some more here than just hey.
To be honest, the biggest thing you'll learn about penguin is that most of us have stopped caring about SEO in that way. So, if the thing is that what we're looking at, and I think that any SEO that comes into a company at a high enough level to be able to say that, is that we start looking at the bloody product and how to market that, and that we try to come up with ways to get links in a natural way that will actually work and last. And we don't really care about the old stuff. So if you're hit by penguin now, that probably means that you either want to fix that, or if it's really bad, and sometimes it is really bad, you just throw away the website and you start a new one.
I think if the question refers to, is there anything I can still do in link building without getting in trouble? I have one advice for that. You could do that with a link detox tool already for a year now, but we have this new competitive link detox tool. And what it does is you give it your website and your 10 competitors, and it does the analysis for all your competitors. And what you want to do is you want to get the strongest, healthy links that your competitors have, because everyone has some bad links. Everyone. When you do typical link building research to find links that you could maybe also get, you have to be sure that those links that you go after are the healthy ones. You would still have to simulate then, with a what if that is something that works for your site. But basically that's what I would recommend. Of course, everything that's cheap, everything that was fast, everything that starts or has automation or something like that in it, forget it. Everything that promises you guaranteed rankings, guaranteed listings, guaranteed submissions, whatever, forget it.
Well, it works, just not for longer than 2 months.
Yeah.
So if you're the churn and burn type, you can churn and burn quite easily and quite hard.
I think churning and burning has actually got easier.
Yeah.
Genuinely easier. They're indexing stuff quicker, they're finding links quicker, they're burning sites after, say, 6 to 8 weeks, unless you're in specific verticals, and then people tweet about it when Matt Cutz's name appears on the vertical, for instance, which is just amusing. Did anyone see that? In the UK, we had, what was it, payday loans from MrCutts.com, which I thought was just awesome, ranking in 3rd place for payday loans. You know, that's a quick way of getting Google to have a look at your vertical. As long as you're churning and burning, this shit has got easier over the last 9 months than it was previously. And, you know, the whole negative SEO thing has also got easier over the last 9 months as well. Not that I would ever say.
But it's all temporary.
But exactly, but it's all temporary.
The stupid thing about negative SEO is that it depends on who you do it to. We do website reviews for a lot of small, medium-sized companies, and then sometimes you see them have links that I'm like, did you buy a link set somewhere? And they generally say that they don't know, and you never really know whether they did it or someone else did it to them. But if you're an SME and you buy a good set of very bad links for your free competitors, then getting #1 rankings is suddenly very easy. And for them to find out, to get an SEO consultant that would actually find out that that shit is happening, that usually takes a while.
Marcus, you
I actually wanted to give one more piece of advice, maybe a little bit of insight with the punching the penguin. It's very important to be very thorough, very, very, what do you say, like very, if you do this, you really got to do it right. You really got to remove every shitty link, because what's going to happen, and I really would be nice if nobody would tweet that or anything. I really like, see it from this perspective, you know, a search quality guy. When he gets a reconsideration request from you, he will do a very quick check. And if the first thing he sees, you know, direct match anchor text link here, direct match anchor text link here, direct match anchor text link here, you know, already stuff debuilt, but there's still a lot of stuff in there, he will just say decline. You get the standard email that it got declined. You got to still remove more stuff. Because they got QPRs, right? So quarterly...
business reviews. Quarterly business reviews.
Yeah. So they get basically targets they need to, and one of them for a search quality guy could be that he needs to go over 500 reconsideration requests, you know, and it's much easier to meet your numbers if it's like, you see as anything, I don't have any interest, you know, in helping you even further, because I see there's still stuff to be cleaned up. You wanted to, maybe you did it on purpose, you know, because you wanted to keep a couple of good links that you thought they were good. So he's very inclined to just hit decline, you know, give back the work to you, because he has to go over a lot of reconsiderations requests, especially in times of Penguin. So this is how you got to see it from Google's perspective. So it's really, really, really important that if you've been hit, if you have gotten one of the blue emails in your Webmaster Central account, or we call it in German, we call it blue email. If you get one of the emails in German in the Webmaster Central account, you know that you are affected, that you have shitty links pointing to you. That's very important to really do a good job and really remove every single link that is bad, that has been paid, that is shitty. And then it's really easy to get into Google back again, because if they see it has been cleaned up, they will approve the reconsideration request, and you're back in. You still have a lot of people who have gotten back in, but still not ranking well, and they're like, hey, you know, what happened? I'm still affected by Penguin. No, you're not affected by Penguin. You just don't have any links left, you know? It's still the same game. It's still about links, you know? So you still need links to rank, and if most of the shit that you ever been doing was just building shitty links, and now all these links are gone, there's just nothing left. So this is why you're not ranking after. So it's very important to, in this, while you're cleaning up the bad links, to really try to build good new links, and just, even if it's just online PR, like good online PR, stuff like this, you know, which really get some good trusted links in there. And this will really, that will help you punch the penguin.
So the funny thing is, Google Webmaster, your backlinks in Google Webmaster Tools are not enough to look at. That's one of the annoying things about this whole project, which is Google is really helping his business quite a bit. And they know it, and they're not fucking fixing it. The thing is, if a site gets banned in Google, links from that site to your site will no longer show up in Google Webmaster Tools. But those links might still be hurting you. So
the ones that are most likely to hurt you,
yes, in fact,
do not appear in Webmaster Tools.
So you need a tool like Ahrefs or Majestic or Link Research Tools to get all those bad links out and remove them properly, because Google doesn't tell you in Google Webmaster Tools.
There's one awesome link source that most people forget. You know, if you in 2006 or 2007 had these great Indian offshore link builders, they sent you Excel files and HTML reports of all the stuff that they built. Upload that as well, because those links might be hurting you and might not show up in Google Webmaster Tools or any other link source, because they just banned websites and so weak that no crawler gets there. You have link data from the past that you should use for evaluation as well.
There was a question in the back earlier. Yeah. While she's walking over there, what you guys are all saying is there's no easy way out of this. It's become a real business. You need to work hard, both in getting the links removed.
Well, there really was no easy way in either.
We pushed this shit really hard to get ourselves in this mess. Okay.
Yeah, but to be honest, it doesn't need to be hard. Not really consulting, but it was helping them a little bit, and it wasn't that bad. There was a rogue SEO agency they've been hiring, and they basically they really pulled down their pants in a reconsideration request and really disclosed them, hey, we were using that agency, they were selling us these links on these sites, and removed that shit. Thank God they had a lot of brand recognition still left, because they were a big brand, and they got back in no time. It was like 2 or 3 weeks. So
let's rephrase that. Not easy, but as in it's a lot of work, because you can't get all it.
It's tough work, because it might be one link you're missing, and Google will give you the automatic reply.
It's not intellectually challenging at all.
No.
So
which is why we dislike doing it.
Long live internships, right? The question in the back, right?
A couple of questions about competitors. How would you spot, are there any tools that help you spot if your site is under a penguin attack, so somebody's building bad links to you? And then secondly, if you can see that your competitors are following sort of anti-penguin tactics and you're doing it white hat, I mean, what's the best way of reporting them?
A really quick and easy way of rigging up a little dashboard for checking this shit is the 30 days new links image that's on Majestic. You don't need to be logged in to pull. If you just pull the URL of the image itself on the report, you can put a dozen of those on a web page hosted internally, bring it up every morning, and it just brings up the latest link graph. You don't need to be logged in. You can get all of the data out of Majestic if you're not logged in. They're sponsoring this event, right?
No.
Good. All right, fair enough. So literally just open up the report in Majestic, right-click, copy the URL, save that into a dashboard of your own, and then check that every day. That's what I do. I've got like 50 altogether, and then occasionally you see one go up, and that's just had 10,000 links pointed out from Fiverr. Works like clockwork. It's free as well.
Brilliant, thanks.
Krista?
Well, you know, when it comes to diagnosing a penguin penalty, if it's your own site, you will notice anyways if you drop to 0 or close to 0. For a competitor site, I always use tools like Searchmetrics Essentials or Systrix or Seolytics. And if you see a drop around May 23, it was a Penguin 2.0 penalty. So, you know, if there is a Penguin rollout of a certain version at a certain day, those websites all dropped like crazy.
You can expect those dates to not become as reliable anymore in the future.
Exactly, that was I wanted to it.
21st to 25th, I would say, would be an accurate thing.
Yeah,
because it's becoming rolling.
Later.
Yeah. It gets a rolling update. But in general, if the website, if it's your own website, you might get that unnatural link warning. Maybe. Yeah, not all the websites that tank get it.
Yeah. Dude, I do consulting work for The Guardian, and we had an unnatural link warning for €1 on Guardian UK. Google is fucked up. That is, I mean, I can't deal with that shit, and nobody can. We've seen them from BBC, we've seen them from Mozilla. Every major website has had unnatural link warnings because some agency at some point decided to point 200 links to an interview person X had with The Guardian, where he got a clean link from The Guardian, and he thought, let's throw some extra links at that to make it super strong.
Yeah. Yeah, but that were link warnings for a single page.
Yeah, well, the thing is that the link warning for a single page usually means you get one general warning first, then you have to inquire what it is, and then it's a single page.
Okay. Yeah, but when it comes to monitoring, of course, being the tool provider, we have the link alerts that help you get emails about new links. And in the new Link Detox Pro plans, we specifically do that for bad links. You get a notification as soon as some stuff is coming up. And that should help people, have some risk monitoring, risk mitigation against negative SEO attacks. Although this is still something that some people do not do or do not believe that's happening. But if you just go out to one sweatshop in India, buy 10,000 shitty links on Fiverr, you could be the next penguin victim. But not of the penguin update itself, but of the ongoing rolling thing that we're going to see. Penguin, I think in a year from now we won't talk about single penguin points in time, because it just got factored into an ever-calculating, ever-fluxing algorithm. Yeah.
Well, yeah,
they've
part of
announced
the algorithm
they're not
is...
going to announce new penguin updates.
Yeah.
Well, that's the thing. We've been, I think for about 18 months to 2 years, we've been complaining that, hey, Google have really stepped up the game. They're releasing new shit every week. We've got all these panda updates, all these penguin updates. But they were doing the same velocity of releases beforehand. They just weren't naming them after black and white animals.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's
This
just...
will be zebra, by the way. Mark my words.
I was hoping, I was going for skunk.
Skunk! Oh, you better.
Okay, any other questions in the room? Not yet. Okay, so I'm going to ask a question again about, you mentioned disavowing already. So actually there was almost a year ago at AFU London when Google announced during AFU London that they were going to give us the Disavow tool.
Give us.
Yes, that's how it was presented.
Leaders gave us.
So here you go. Here's the Disavow tool. Here you can put in your links, and then we'll. Is it any use doing that?
Yes.
Yeah.
The issue is if you just disavow everything, you don't remove anything, you're likely to get a decline. So do try and remove a lot. But if people don't want to cooperate, then just make sure that you've documented that, because they might ask for it.
Yeah, so I've seen, especially around the launch of the Disavow tool, a lot of blog posts saying just put in your entire site, disavow everything, and you'll be fine.
Well, you'll be fine. You'll have no links left and no rankings.
Yeah.
It works.
Which a lot of the time, realistically, is probably a good idea. No, seriously. If you've got, look, if it's going to take you 350 hours of labour to go through these 1.2 million backlinks and find all of the ones that are bad and try, a lot of the time you may as well be better off just disavow the whole fucking thing.
Or
and start
just do a
again.
new site.
Yeah.
I did it quite often with somebody coming up to me. I take a look at the link profile and it says, it's a lot of work, but you will end up with nothing. There's no single good link for you in there. Start all over new. That's it.
There are two important parts that we learned with using the Disavow tool. Number one is if you have a link from a pretty shady website, a typical link directory or something, disavow the whole domain. You don't want to wait 3 or 6 or 12 months until the Google crawler decided to go down to that page number 2517 where your link is. If you disavow the whole domain, that domain gets, deactivated, removed from your link profile faster from the Google crawlers, which makes sense. A lot of these links are on spammy websites that are not indexed or not indexed well. The second thing is, if you removed a link, if you manage to remove a link from a shady website, disavow the domain as well. Because Google is really bad in finding these removed links, actually. And we found that if we disavow the 404s, the links that were removed already, it also helps. And you want to make sure you remove the whole domain anyways, if it's a, typically spammy link selling website. That really helps because it works on a domain level. And one could argue, okay, it's Google, they're crawling the whole web every day 5 times anyways, but that's not the case, especially with those shitty, poor websites.
I absolutely agree with you. I have heard, and I think the three of you have as well from the same person in Google, that it takes, after you've submitted a disavow, you should wait 11 days, because that's how long it takes their index to go through. I'm like, 11 days? No, it fucking doesn't. There's months there before you see shit dropping off. In fact, I've still got in Webmaster Tools, now that I think about it, I've got links from a domain, like 600,000 links from one domain for one of my sites, for a website that was bought by Wikia in 2007 and no longer exists, yet it's still in my Webmaster Tools.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
Yeah, 6 or 7 years ago.
Good luck disavowing. Sorry.
Yeah, it's spammy as shit, but, you know.
Yeah.
So find the links, get them removed, and then disavow them.
It's still disavow
them. If you listen to Google, wait 11 days and then ask them to manually review.
What they want to see, and this is really bad because they're basically your high school teachers.
Yeah, they want to see penance.
But yeah, they want to see penance, and they want to see documentations of the fact that you've done stuff.
They could look at your Gmail accounts anyway.
Every time I see this, I see people do this, and we don't actually do it for people. It's just people come to us, and I look at what's happened. And every time that they've not shown penance or been arrogant, it's like instant decline.
Okay. If you approach Google with a sense of entitlement for your old results, yeah, you'll know. I was third for cheap hotels in Las Vegas. I should be third. I was there for 5 years.
Sue you.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, forget it. You ain't ever coming back. You go, oh, I'm so sorry. This guy, his name was Marcus. He was from Germany. He sold me some links. He said it was all going to be cool, and then the police came, and If you like that, then yeah, you stand a chance. So a different Marcus, obviously.
So does it help knowing people at Google then?
No. It would be remiss. Of course it helps, yes. Publicly, no. Because it's, we're all adults. Of course it fucking helps when you can send someone an email. But the simple fact of the matter is Google 2 years ago released the most awesome tool for getting in touch with people at Google. They called it a social network, but it's just a Google, Google communications device. And you can pick any member of Google and just speak with them on this magical thing they've got at plus.google.com. It's perfect. So yes, it helps. But if you it's a secret URL that no one knows about. But if you go to plus.google.com, you can find all their engineers, spam team, everything. It's perfect.
Okay, so that helps. That's what it's for. Okay,
yeah.
Now I understand. Thank you.
That's the only reason most of us have been using it.
It's to get in touch. It's finally the way they can help. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm still looking at the room. Guys, if you have questions, this is your opportunity to get an answer from those experts. So do raise your hand.
It's funny, by the way, to see the amount of people leaving Google, and search quality especially, in the last year or so. I think they're just as bored with Penguin as we are.
Yeah. Yeah,
totally. That's why
because they get nothing but abuse, right? Seriously.
They've got the worst job in the world.
What a shit job. One, having to think up stuff to counter what we've been thinking up for the last 8 or 10 years in a constant arms race, which is never ultimately going to go anywhere. But then only to get hassle from it, you get, they get despised when they serve good results, well, because we don't perceive them as good, because it's not our sites that are ranking. They get shit from the rest of the world when they're ranking our sites.
And the worst part, it's always, you can't imagine how much emails they must have been getting, and also from people who are not even penalized. It's like you have it so often, somebody coming up to you saying, I've been penalized. They hear Panda, Penguin, they mix it all together, saying, I've been penalized by Penguin because my rankings dropped. And you take a look at the domain, and it has like 2 links, and it's like there's nothing there, right? And it's like you're not been penalized. You just don't rank because you don't have, right? And they all will write at Google, hey, I've been penalized. What can I do? La 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 la. And this is like, and it's probably a bigger portion of the people writing to them that are not even really victims, but just don't have a clue about SEO and really trying to seek answers, so to speak. So, and it's really must be very frustrating. And the more this whole PR strategy is working out for them, the more people just come back at Google and say, hey, what's going on? And I'm entitled to those rankings.
Maybe we should tell them that Gmail has a filter option.
Someone with a question in the back.
Hi there, yeah. What it is, if a site doesn't get penalised the first time, the last time the Penguin update, is it likely that it's kind of got away with it and like it'll be fine?
They didn't see me speeding, so now I can speed all the time. That's the question. Is that how it works?
No. Once you get out of the penalty, you can be in the penalty next day, next week, next month, if you don't manage the risk of your links properly. You have to, actually, it's getting harder every month or every year. So to
If
say.
you didn't get hit until now, please, by all means, do make all the money you can up until the point you do get hit. But you might also start cleaning up a bit as well. It's going to happen. I mean, if you know that you've bought bad links or you've acquired them in any way whatsoever, you can be damn sure that it's going to happen. The only thing is, if you're going to remove links now, before you get any penalty, you're gonna lose rankings over it, probably.
It depends on the links. You know, a lot of websites also get these scraper links. You know, and for years, Google said, "Oh, we're gonna find out if the link is poor link, a scraper link, and we'll ignore it." Now, if you have some content that is being scraped and republished, those links could potentially hurt you as well. I would start disavowing, spammy stuff like that, even if you're not responsible, because you don't want links from buy minus, cheap minus, cars minus, online minus in some city.com from some spam scraper site that try to make money on AdSense.
That's bunch of shit, because I used to do that. I used to do rankings that way all the time, but just...
with your RSS link, right? You had your RSS link.
I did it all the time with links in your RSS footer, which still works for the bigger sites if they reproduce you, but if you get scraped, it really hurts. Yeah.
I would not do that anymore, and I would start disavowing those today. No. You don't want those links.
Definitely, they just started that. There's further iterations of that update coming, and they get better with their data. All the reconsideration requests people send in, that allows them really to do trace matches, that I can't objectively identify that link as being a paid link, but if 3 people say that, I can really say, okay, now it gets the check mark, right? And this is very, very important. And we had that with a very, very big company just a couple of weeks ago. And they had a very, very bad spammy backlink profile, but they were ranking amazingly well, but a very spammy backlink profile. And we were basically telling them, to remove all that shitty stuff and build up new stuff and la, la, la. And the CEO was like, hey, I don't get it. We are ranking #1, so we must be doing it right. Because we're #1, so we're doing it right. But this is this thing that it's if you rob a bank 10 times, and you don't get caught, it doesn't make it legal, But that's it, right? But when the 11th time they get caught, the 11th time, it's the big cry out, oh, all unfair and Google is evil and shit like that. And blah, blah, blah. No, it's like you've been robbing a bank all over, but you just never been caught. And this is the thing. So it's really important if you're not been caught, but you still know there's a lot of shit pointing at your site, remove it now because it will be harder as soon as that penalty comes.
There's no escaping the penguin.
No escaping.
18 months ago, when I was going into partner offices doing consultancy, I was sat there telling them that, hey, look, this is really dangerous and you're probably going to get banned, and their response is exactly that. Well, I'm position 1 for all my money keywords, so, what difference does it make? Then they get banned, and then they still think that they can, get out of it by saying to Google, yeah, we've sent disavow requests to these 3 websites, and bullshit on the way out of it. Once they've served 12 months in the jail of not having any rankings whatsoever, they tend to come around to that way of thinking. And over the last 9 months, I've managed to convince more websites that were doing, and these are big sites that were doing millions or tens of millions of dollars worth of business a month, to basically de-index all of the pages where they were receiving traffic before and then just start rebuilding them up from scratch. We're finally getting the message through. I think, 18 months ago, when we were sat having this exact conversation, everyone's like, you guys, it was only 2 years ago you were telling us how to build 3 million links in a CMS plugin and shit like that. And now you sat there saying...
Yeah. It's called WordPress SEO.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't do that. He did that. He did it in a V-bulletin extension.
Anyway, and now you're sat there saying, yeah, well, the best thing to do is to do it right. Well, that's not sexy. That's not fun. Yeah, but, I'd still also rather have a job in 3 years.
We have another question there.
I just wondered if the panel could perhaps go into a bit more detail of some of the sites that are best avoided for links. If you can categorize any of those, for example, some of the sort of business directories and things which in the past everyone was sort of putting their links into, whereas now I sort of gather is probably a bad thing in most cases. So a few more examples perhaps of where not to go.
Are you asking for examples of sites you should not
Yeah, or you need to remove your links from, or disavow them from.
Any link, any site, you can basically have some sort of automation to put your links into there, where you can drop the links yourself without any staging, like all the easy stuff, basically.
Yeah, and even guest blogging, if done too aggressively, is gonna hurt you like hell.
Yeah, in that SEO article blog, where every post is on a different like high traffic keyword, and it's always 2 links in there, one to your site and one to Wikipedia or whatever.
I'd say the best possible way is go on Digital Point, pay for an ebook that's like 4 years old on how to do link building, and then any way that they identify footprinting those sites, those are the ones that you shouldn't have links on. It's basically that simple, right?
Yeah.
Any of that shit.
No directory links, no article links, no guaranteed submissions to some whatever website, no footer links, no friend links, no blog roll links, no
Basically what you're left with.
high PR blog post especially, not that.
So what you're left with is proper online PR.
Yes. It's depressing and sad, but I think we have become PRs. It's depressing and sad, but
That's the only thing we can do. Just do it.
No, but it's really about that there's some sort of gatekeeper, like on State of Search, right? There's no way you can inject a link in there for SEO leads or whatever. There's just no way. You have to go over the gatekeeper, Bas van der Belt, who says, okay, this is a good site, this is a good piece you've been doing, this is a good case study, content marketing piece, infographic, whatever, that you link to them. And then it's a good link. But that's it. There's always needs to be some sort of authoritative gatekeeper, basically, for that site, and there's never been done any shit with that, and then it works. So.
I get that. Let's take it a little bit to the affiliate world, because the affiliates world usually is not about building your brand.
No, which is the problem.
No.
Yeah. So how we're an affiliate conference, so how do affiliates
Well, Google is the natural enemy of all of you. Google wants to cut out all that business. I talked about that for a couple of years now when we talked about car insurance in the UK popping up right in the search results. Google wants to cut out the middleman, and they refer to affiliate sites as thin affiliate sites or something like that. I don't know how many years ago.
Yeah. Well, not all affiliate sites, but affiliates. So the wording in Webmaster Central is that if you have a thin affiliate site that's built for the express purpose of redirecting traffic to another site, that's considered. Apparently we've got a meeting coming up. Excuse me. That's a problem. But seeing as I guess I should go all corporate now, I work for Expedia Affiliate Networks, so this is my job.
It's going to sit all corporate. You see that?
Yeah, kind of we'll sit back. We very much have been of the opinion for the last couple of years, and correctly so, I think, that we would much rather all of our affiliates transacted on their own sites and maintain the customer relationship themselves. We do customer support and all the rest of it, but it's in Expedia's interests for you as a travel affiliate to be transacting on your site and maintaining the client relationship, as opposed to referring traffic back to hotels.com or expedia.com or any of the other ones.
Meaning that if you are an affiliate, you need to be a brand.
You need to. Exactly. I would much rather see our 25,000 affiliates all having 25,000 unique experiences and their own sites, rather than referring us traffic.
But it's not about just being a brand, which is just a very generic tip anyway. It's more like that you really have some sort of added value, because you got to see it from Google's eyes again. Like if you're a thin affiliate, you're ranking for a book or whatever, and somebody clicks on your site, and then the only thing he has to do is basically click on Amazon or another book seller or whatever, again goes to this site. It's really, you're not providing any value. And it's again about what's the best result for the user. And the best result for the user can also be the same result, just one click before, right? So they don't need the site in between, which sends you to the site where you should actually go in the first place. And this is very important. But if you have some sort of added value, that you really have something that makes the people want to stay on your site and also want to use your site more often, this is really what Google is looking at, because then you're really a legitimate site. But the thin affiliate is definitely. It's definitely over. Yeah, it doesn't.
If you're not building brand searches for your brand, if that's not growing, if people are not looking for you and your brand specifically, then you're doing it wrong. And to be honest, you've been doing it wrong for at least 5 years, but you'll really get the message now because there's no other way of building traffic. But if you want to rank, you'll need brand traffic and you'll need brand recognition. And if you look at sites that are dropping, and if you look at the amount of sites that get a lot of brand searches, and what they can get away with in terms of backlinks is so much more than people who have no brand searches whatsoever. If you have no brand searches whatsoever, 2 or 3 bad backlinks can kill your site. If you're a brand, then it's a lot easier to rank.
Mm-hmm. The beautiful thing is, whereas we all used to screw about with building crappy backlinks, one of the primary mechanisms of building a brand is, of course, having decent social media coverage, and there's still the Wild West in that particular niche. So you can still do stuff that's fun and interesting and, you know, manipulating Twitter, manipulating Facebook, and manipulating Google Plus to build your brand. But the layer that you probably shouldn't be screwing about with anymore is the links that are pointing back at your site.
Okay, we're getting close to the end, so I think we have room for a question. I saw a question in the back. Yes.
Thank you. We've come into this session when it's called Punching the Penguin, and we're slowly getting into a position where we're starting to cuddle the penguin as we talk about a bit of social PR, and we're starting to talk about the sort of things that we can do in order to get these good links. I just wondered whether you might be able to elaborate that a bit more, and to put it into a slightly tighter context. Let's say, let's just for the sake of this conversation coming up now, there's a piece of content that's actually very well written, it's very informative, it gets put up on someone's website, and now we need to start the PR movement. Now we need to let people know that that's there before people even link to it. How might someone go about that?
So social, kind of exactly what I was just saying there, this is the bit that you can still game, is you can really scale social manipulation and outreach on Twitter and other platforms at this point in time. It's great for that kind of shit. I mean, why do you think he does consulting at The Guardian? I mean, it's just, you know, things like this. This is the new way of manipulating link building, is manipulating people to visit your site. And then you're still going to have the same ratio of, hey, 5% of the people that visit it might ultimately link to it. But if you can get that in front of 1,000 journalists, then, you know, you're still going to be able to generate a reasonable amount of good links that actually make sense and are worth it. I see that as being a much safer way of gaming the system now than building crappy backlinks was in the past. If, to go along with the title of punching the penguin, if I were to release a CMS plugin at this point in time, which did still work, I would probably do something like not have footer links or sidebar links or whichever hook you're going to use in the CMS, but then render it on individual words in content in post, and potentially use something like the Levenstein PHP function, so you can define any word or character string that's within 5 points of this anchor text. Create that as a link back to my site, but crucially not creating links on other people's sites. That's spammy as fuck, right?
Yeah.
But I was going to say, if you weren't gaming the system,
that'll last long, because right now, if you want to really rank something fast, throw 2,000 links at them, and 90% of them can be brand. You need like 5 or 6 anchor text links and on a couple of reasonable sites, and a lot of links with just your brand, and ranking stuff becomes shit easy.
Okay, we're getting through time, so I'm going to give Christoph and Marcus the last chance to give a piece of advice on. Okay, so we've gone to now cuddling the penguin. What to do next?
If you haven't cleaned up your existing link profile, start with that. That's what I call punching the penguin. There's no way to trick Google. We did that for years, and if you're expecting like the magic trick, the magic sauce, here you're in the wrong room. Seriously.
To be honest, though, if we don't have it, I doubt anyone else is going to give it to you.
Right. Well, that's the other thing. But all the years of tricks have gone by. It was fun. I remember my Amazon affiliate site hosting 5 billion of pages with exact copies of Amazon, with one page rank 8 site-wide, making tens of thousands within a week, and it was awesome. But Google got a little bit smarter than that. And it doesn't stop here. So whenever your mind says, I need a trick, force yourself to not do it, to not think about it.
There's nothing wrong with it, just churn and burn.
It's churn and burn if you're in a spam business, but I take it you all want to build businesses that last, or work on businesses that, are here.
That's it, it's about sustainability. That's all what it's about, It's not about who gets to number one the fastest. That's just it, It's about who gets to stay there the longest. And
so no tricks, cuddle the penguin and become a real business. I'd like you to give a round of applause to this great bunch of guys. Thank you very much.